Hello, my name is Susan. I am with PC Bennett, and today we are going to talk about Acumatica Payroll and looking at how it works from time cards to getting people paid. Um, my background is in finance, and I have a MBA from Pepperdine, and I've been working in Acumatica for about 4 or 5 years. So let's take a look at Acumatica Payroll. So in version 2023 R1, Acumatica has added Canadian payroll. You have a choice of US payroll or Canadian payroll. You can only have one of these payrolls per tenant, and that tenant has to be in the associated currency. So if you have a tenant in US dollars, you can have US payroll, but not Canadian payroll, and vice versa. So these added the special tax forms that are needed for Canadian payroll, such as the T4, the L1, RL1 forms, and they've also added special tax forms for Quebec. So in Acumatica, there are multiple ways to bring in time entries. Some of them are listed here, time activities, using manually entering your time in your time cards. We have career time cards, daily field reports, field services, mobile apps, and we can also import time from third parties. And you can find those third-party timekeeping systems in the Acumatica marketplace. So let's take a look at one of these items. This is an employee time activity. An employee time activity is recorded by an individual, and it can be associated with a project task, um, or it can be a non-project task and just be like a task for uh, a case. And these tasks are accrued in different areas, and as the time is occurred, and then we can set up specific accounting for each item so that the accounting for that project and project task, this time will roll over into the person's time card and also over into the project and the project task. So with construction, you can also do a crew time card. And in a crew time card, the supervisor can add various crew members here and their individual time activities. We can do a mass time entry, and we're recording it to the specific labor item for that individual, the WCC code. Is there a union? Is it a certified job? This can all be done on a crew time card by the supervisor with a summary here and whether or not this time is billable. Additional crew members can also be added to this time card as needed on which and when those crew members come and go, they can be added and removed from the time card. We can also run this for put in specific projects if we're using projects and the day of the week, such as here it was the X is for non-project items. If it was a project, the actual project ID and project task would be down in this area. Uh, Also with construction, on a daily field report, you can enter your time. You can enter the time activities for individuals. This is done by the supervisor as they're creating their daily field report. They would bring in the employee, the time spent, billable time, and it's showing here on who did the time entry. So this was brought in by an admin. Also on these daily field reports, this is unrelated to payroll, but we can also bring in subcontractor time. In field services, we can also look at specific tasks as assigned in a service call. And this is all done on a non-stock items and with appointments. You can see on the non-stock items, we can put in an earning type and we can set in a billing rule. So as a technician goes out on a call, they can start their travel time, they can start their work time, and they can uh, do their end time and end of service time. And then this will create, using these non-stock items, it will create a time entry, and it will also be billable time entries. So these come into a time card, and on a time card, under the details, which we don't have here, let me see. Under the details would be the individual time activities would be listed, and then the approvals for the whole time card are done here. They are assigned to using your approval flows. They are assigned to an approver, and the approver can come in, view the individual transactions that are made through the time activities, and then using the action, they can approve and approve released time cards. So the flow is going to be from time activities, if you're using time activities, or you can do manual direct entry into a time card and assign projects, tasks directly on the time card. Then it goes to an approval, usually a supervisor approval, and can set that up in our approval flows. And it can be rejected and go back to the individual to have them modify their time card if they need, say, a better description or they used the wrong project and task, that they can go back and correct their time card, resubmit it, and then can come back for approval. Once it's approved, then it goes into a payroll batch. And now we're in payroll batches. So payroll batches can come from approved time cards. The information can be uploaded from a third-party time clock software where you have punch in and punch outs. And you can also do a manual entry to bring in any information for your payroll. So this is an example of what a payroll batch would look like. We would have our employees. We would have the hours we put in, and this would be under the earnings details. And in here, each one would have the days, the hours, and the codes for that time. So if it's regular hours, say it would be RG. If they took vacation time, that would be recorded in the earnings details. And this is the summary of that amount, of the hours they worked, the rate they're being paid, and the amount. This is once we've processed through a payroll batch and created a paycheck and paid the employee. On this payroll batch, you will see the payroll, that it's a regular payment, and this is the payment. And you can drill down into this information to get the detail on the employee detail, deductions, and overtime. So in here, you can see we have 8 employees. We have the total hours being paid and the total earnings. The payroll accounting on where your salaries, your wages, your liabilities, all of those types of transactions that occur with payroll are controlled in different areas. You can control by having your earnings types come in using the general ledger off of the earning type, off the employee record, payroll groups, labor items, or even project and tasks. So you define how you want to see and record the uh, specific journal entries based off of these types of records. To use the project and project task, you do need to have projects and construction. Okay. So Acumatica has a pretty detailed tax engine. In this tax engine, it's going to assign the taxes based off of the company address, the work location, the employer address where they did the work, and also where the employee lives. So we can get down into the different municipality taxes, the different SUTA taxes based off of someone living in Washington and working in Oregon, something like that. And so these different taxes are applied by where their work location is and where they live. These are an example of the list of taxes. And when we look in here, we can view each of these tax details to get the information about the tax ID number that we need to use, the how we want to label the um, AP bills that are created, the liabilities, and and tax rates, anything like that will come here on these individual tax settings. We have the update taxes. So every time there is a change in taxes, we want to run the update taxes, or each time we do a payroll, and then the tax engine will search for any changes in the tax structure that occurred between the last payroll and the current payroll. If there's any changes in application or rates, it's going to go in and look for those based off of the company tax information and the individual's locations and update those information. Then you're going to assign, it's kind of whited out here, but then you assign these taxes to the employees so that their tax um, calculations are updated for the individual payrolls. PTO banks. In Acumatica, we can also set up different time banks. We have PTO banks, sick leave banks, vacation banks, and we can set these up as percentages. There's different methods on how we're going to set these up and the accrual rates and limitations, how we want to set up that deduction code or the disbursement earning type, whether we allow negative balances, if we have carryovers, if there's rules on disbursement on final paychecks. These are all set up here. Um, and we can have multiple ones per company and per uh, payroll type. Within payroll, there are often things that we need to do. We need to make adjustments, say there's an incorrect usage of a PTO bank. And so we need to add someone's time in or time out. We can use payroll adjustments to do a change in quantity for like a PTO bank without making a payment to the individual. So if their accrual was incorrect and we needed to add 8 more hours to their vacation bank, we can do that using an adjustment without creating like a payroll check. And that adjustment can be like if you want to do a spot award of additional PTO time or vacation time, you can use something like an adjustment. Outs, if you want to do a second payment to someone within a pay period, you could do the regular paycheck, and then we would need to do a special paycheck. And this can be used, say, for commissions, that you're going to do a special paycheck to pay out your commissions in that same pay period. And then we also have, say, final paychecks. And in a final paycheck, it's going to also calculate the payout for unused vacation, depending upon how you set up your PTO banks and how we're going to use those accrued hours. There are several ways that you are going to pay your employees. And that's going to be through ACH or checks. Those are the basic ways that most people pay. And Acumatica has set up has those systems automated so that we can make the check batch and print out all the paychecks, or we can do an ACH batch that you can upload to your bank to pay your individuals through direct deposit. Each individual can get a pay stub. This can be through email or you can hand them to them. And this is what one of the pay stub is going to look like. It's going to show the company, uh, the employee getting paid, the amount of the payroll. And then down here, it's going to have their individual. This is the individual for this month. This is your hours and your amount getting paid. And then it's going to have some year-to-date information. We also, this pay stub also shows the deductions for the year and like the 401k contributions and amounts, any healthcare information, all those deductions that you might have set up are going to show here. And then we have totals down here for total deductions and the taxes, taxable wages, current amount, and year-to-date information. And so those are available to be emailed or mailed to each employee. Okay. So in the inquiries and reports for payroll, there are, out of the box, there are these inquiries. We have my payroll documents, employment history, employment pay rates and earnings, employee deductions and benefits, employee taxes. And then these are additional reports that can be run to help you with your forms or to check on any questions you have that payroll is running correctly. These are pay time off details by employee, workers' comp by code, deductions, check registers. So these reports are all out of the box. So an example of one of the inquiries is like my payroll documents, and using security rules, you can make it so this is one of the GIs that each employee can see. And when they come in here, there would be a list of their payrolls and their pay checks. And when they drill down, it would bring up that pay stub form for that payroll. So this can save your HR and your payroll processor some time, that if somebody loses a pay stub and they want to know, they have their own ability to come in here and find their pay stub and print it out. Additionally, we have government tax reporting, and this is using Atrix. So within Acumatica, you can come in for government reporting, and in this case, I'm asking it to only show the federal forms. And this is the list of federal forms that we can run through Atrix. And this is using the integration between the Acumatica payroll and Atrix. And the data is pulled from Acumatica and flows to Atrix, where it is put into these forms for you to review. And you can use, you can get the forms yourself, and this would be copies of the forms, and it would just show that it's copy. And then you can use Atrix if you wish to e-file these forms. They also, I have this for federal forms. We also have all the states, and we can list the states that are active for your payroll and the reporting period for those states. And then we have ACA reporting. So this is the reporting that you would need to comply with the ACA. And in here, you can see the information for each employee. You can put it and just sort by month. We're going to see the month, what their status is, your coverage, your offer coverage, contributions, hours worked. This will flow in here, and you can update it and change it as needed so that this information flows into Atrix to produce like your 1096. Questions? And I'm trying to get back to here. Are there any questions?
Currently don't see anything in the Q&A section for you, Susan.
Perfect. All right, so if I go back here to share, and I can show my, sorry, so no questions?
It
Perfect.
doesn't look like it. Thanks,
All right.
Susan.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Thank you.